Right. Get this party started. Man, it's been a while since recording any sort of video. And the reason for that is because my man Greg and I are we are stopping our podcast, the Dare to Dream podcast. And that's pretty wild to say. We've been doing it for like 5.5 years, I think. Started it at the beginning of COVID. And we started the podcast to document what it's like going for your dreams. And not just kind of looking back from the other side of the trials and tribulations like many podcasts do and tell you this is how we did it. We wanted to show people what it's like actively pursuing your dreams. So the highs, the lows, and everything in between. And man, it was a beautiful, beautiful ride. Interviewed a variety of just incredible, inspiring people who gave us insights into their own journeys and, what it's like, what it takes. And along the way, we would pepper in our own experiences of what we're going through, what my buddy Greg was pursuing, the life of a life coach. So helping people achieve their dreams. And I've been pursuing the life of a writer, an author, a writer of all sorts, blogger, author. And, we wanted to show what the hell that is like and just give people a raw take on that. And we both realized that's a lot of fucking work. Running a podcast where you're not making any money from it, and that was never our intention. Eventually we thought that after years and years, decades maybe, that we'd get to that point where we are making some income from it, but that would be just the icing on the cake. It wasn't the point. The point was for us to connect with each other, connect with ourselves and where we are on our personal journeys, and just to give a raw, real look at what it's like living and striving for an unorthodox life. And goddamn it, I think we did that. I am so proud of what we did, what we accomplished. Over 230 episodes, nearly every week. And we both realized that Greg really liked the in-person episodes where he got to sit down with somebody at his studio in San Diego. And I like doing this. I like just talking to the camera and, using it as a therapy session, as a means for me to just organize my thoughts, as a way to practice speaking. I like doing this. And I haven't done it in a long time, so this feels really good. But we decided that it's time to end the podcast if it's not giving us that same fulfillment and bringing us, the same joy that it once did, because the difficulties of just keeping it going is pretty tough. There's a lot that goes into it, editing and whatnot. And we were both just kind of over it. And maybe this can help people who are trying to start something, or they're pretty deep in a project or something and they don't know when to stop. I think a lot of people, I don't know what a lot of people think, but there's something called the sunken cost fallacy, which is where you stay in something, be it a relationship, a job, a project. You keep pushing, you keep just sticking with it because you think, I put so much time in it already, it would be a waste to give up now. So people stay in stuff that doesn't serve them anymore. And the podcast wasn't really serving us the way it used to. So we were stepping away, and it feels good. because we both realized that we want to focus on what truly makes us happy, the single thing, simplifying. Like, what do we both really want? What do we want our lives to be? He wants to focus on his business, helping people, growing that. I just want to write books. I love it. And I'm going to kind of walk through my experiences with that today, just how I'm shifting my mindset in a way and just really focusing on the thing that I love, the single thing, and not trying to do all this stuff at once. I think this could help people, specifically young people who are wondering what to do with their lives. They don't know which way to turn because you get out of college and you have endless options. My little brother is going through this right now. He's 22, and when you have so much you can do, the entire world at our fingertips, you could go anywhere in the world. You could essentially try any job. It's called analysis paralysis. It's hard to know where to begin. And I say, you just got to try something, anything, something that interests you. And obviously, you're not just going to try anything. Try something that interests you. For step one, what are your actual interests? And you could find those things through exploration. Carl Jung, one of my favorite quotes is, life doesn't start until you turn 40. Up until then, you're just doing research. Research is, for me, traveling. It's having experiences. It was trying different jobs throughout my 20s, working in a restaurant, working in retail, working in real estate, teaching English in Japan, working at a hostel in Lisbon. I realized after real estate, which was in my early 20s, that I just want to write. And I realized that on a trip to Berlin, where I'll never forget it. It was the first blog post, I think, that I wrote. And I was just walking to meet my friend and his brother, my best friend, at a burger shop in Berlin. And it was a cold winter day. And I was just walking along this canal. And I just was enamored with the city, with the cold, which I'm not used to, but I've always loved. Being from Los Angeles, I would always love traveling to places that actually had seasons, which is a big reason why I went to Japan. And I was just walking through Berlin, just like, God damn it, this is all I want to do. I just graduated college, maybe the year before, and I'm like, wow, I just want to travel and have experiences like this that just open up my world and just make me excited. And you could feel it. I think a great place to start with what you're interested in is what you feel in your body. And I just feel elation and curiosity when I'm traveling. And that told me that that is what I'm meant to do. And then I wanted to tell stories about it. So first I wrote about Berlin, and I started writing blog posts about not knowing what to do with my life, but also this newfound longing to just travel and explore and find myself out in the world. And those things kind of came together, and I realized that I love travel writing. And that turned into my entire 20s writing endlessly online, blog posts. I've written over like 650 articles online just about traveling and experiences, and hopefully inspiring content to help you kind of decipher your inner world and what brings you that same joy that I feel when traveling and writing. And I've been following that instinct ever since, and it hasn't been a clear route whatsoever, but I've never stopped writing. No matter what I've tried, I've always come back to the page, because writing is how I make sense of the world, my experiences, and it's how I understand myself versus what we're supposed to be doing with our lives. There's so much noise information telling us what we're supposed to be doing. This is what it means to be successful. This is what it means to be a man. This is what it means to be a good person. And we base our lives off of that. We do what other people are doing because it makes sense. You know, if other people are doing it, that gives us some sort of entry point into a path forward. But it really takes breaking away from that and listening to what our body tells us to understand what we actually want to do with our lives. And I'm 30 years old now, and this journey is very much still in its nascent phase. You know, I feel like I'm still just a seedling, and I'm really starting to to bloom, so to speak. And so throughout our 20s, we started the podcast, me and Greg, at the beginning of COVID 5.5 years ago. And I left real estate and I was like, all right, I want to be a writer. And I still thought that was blogging and traveling, and like, I didn't know I'd want to write books yet. And, you know, I started on that journey, and I think like 6 months later, went on a big trip up to the Pacific Northwest, and I wrote a book about it. And that was my first book, Arrows of Youth. And that really showed me. I mean, I self-published it on Amazon. I wrote a fucking book, and that showed me that I could do it. And I'm working on my third one now it's a fictional story based on my time teaching English in Japan. And it's the same thing. I wake up excited every morning at like 4:30 or 5 to get back to writing and working on the book. One of my favorite authors, James Michener, said something like, you know, most authors have written their books sometime between 4 and 7 a.m. or at like 9 and 12 at night, because they're holding down a full-time job as well. And that's what I've had to do. For the first one, Arrows of Youth, I was fortunate, you know, COVID hit, and that was a blessing for me because I got to just work on the book. So I got it done, and that proved to myself that I could do it. And then my second one was based on my experiences traveling throughout Europe at the end of COVID. And I worked at a hostel in Lisbon and then on a farm in Italy. And I wrote that book while I was teaching English in Japan. And that showed me that I could write and publish a book while having a full-time job. And it was a lot. It took a lot of effort and a lot of work, but I got it done. And now I'm working on my book about Japan while, you know, I was working at a coffee shop up in Oakland. I'm back in LA for a little bit, but I'm kind of bobbing and weaving at the moment, taking a little rest and hibernation in my hometown just to kind of settle in a bit. And I'm using this time to really write this book about Japan. And it makes me so happy doing it. It's absolutely unreal. I'm going to get to that and just like what the process is and everything, but I want to wrap up these thoughts about the Dare to Dream podcast because it's a big part of our lives coming to a close. And, you know, it's making way for new things, new inspiration, new experiences to come. And I changed my handle on YouTube, where I'll be posting this, is now writer Vincent Van Patten. And I think for a while, especially doing this podcast and just throughout my 20s, I felt like being pulled in many different directions. Like I had to do all these things at once because, you know, everybody online is saying that you gotta be on, if you're writing online, you gotta be on Medium and you have to be on Substack and you gotta be in 20 different places. So I'm like trying to just keep up with all that. And then it's like, oh, you're still early in the podcast days. You gotta have a podcast. And like, so me and Greg are hitting that hard. And then I'm working on my books as well. I'm doing photography, and then I'm working a job because I wasn't making money from all these pursuits of my passions. And it just became overwhelming. And I burnt out at several points, but I always came back to writing. Because I really write just to understand myself and to unravel these things that are going on inside of me. So I have to do it. I feel so much better when I do. But the past 6 months or so, my aim has really been to simplify. To simplify my life down to what I truly love. And while I do like writing online, it is fun to get these stories and articles out. I love writing books. I love writing books. That is what I want to do with my life. So I cut back on the weekly newsletter, which I put so much pressure on myself that I had to get it out every week. I thought for a while that I was going to try to, well, I did try to make money on Substack, having a paid, publication. That didn't feel that authentic and just didn't feel that real. So I just realized it's free. I'm always going to write online, but I don't have to do it on a schedule. I have been still publishing most Mondays because I got something I want to say. That's really the only criteria. If I miss a month, doesn't matter. You can join this party if you want. You could also, throw me a few shekels if you want as well and sign up for a paid subscription, but my writing will be free because I just got things that I want to share with the world. But I'm taking the pressure off myself that I have to be a blogger. I have to be writing online. Because while it's cool and it's fun and it helps me understand myself, it's things we post online are fleeting. They come and they go. And these books that I've written, the 2 books so far, they're sitting on the bookshelf and they're chapters of my life captured. And it's interesting. Well, I'm going to come back to this point in a little bit, but I want to write and create things that last. Basically, what it comes down to is I'm not in a pompous way or anything, but I want to live the life of an artist because I believe I am an artist. And it's not just because of the things I create. It's because of how I see the world. I see the world as so beautiful. And it's not just, these insane travel experiences that are most beautiful to me. These jaw-dropping, momentous occasions. It's the mundane that I love. It's the mundane that I strive to capture and share with the world because I think that's what an artist does. They see the things that people normally overlook in daily life, just how beautiful it is, and they somehow illuminate that. And I'm just going to bring up a couple quotes that I love about this topic. One is, I've been reading Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act, and it's incredible if you want to create art of any sort. It's so good. Rick Rubin is a G. He's just very eloquent and so nice to listen to on podcasts and stuff, and just he's like a Yoda figure. He's so cool. He's the greatest music producer of all time, but he's just so down to earth and just sees life in such a beautiful way. So I highly recommend The Creative Act. I also highly recommend one of my other favorite guys is Alain de Botton, and his books, The School of Life and Emotional Education. And then another one that came out like a year ago, A Therapeutic Journey. So good. So good. He just helps us understand ourselves in such a beautiful way. And these two quotes come from those two books. And this first one is from The Creative Act. He says, "The best artists are the ones with the most sensitive antenna to draw in the energy resonating at a particular moment. Many great artists first develop sensitive antenna not to create art, but to protect themselves. They have to protect themselves because everything hurts more. They feel everything more deeply." And then from A Therapeutic Journey by Alain de Botton, he says, "Great writers are ultimately simply those who know how to speak with special honesty about the panic and sadness of ordinary life." And that is what I love to write about, what I love to capture, because it's the things that I'm experiencing. It's ordinary life, the highs and lows, most recently the sadness of going through a breakup and what it feels like, and hopefully what I'm sharing can help people on their own journeys. And I think it does. It's those vulnerabilities that connect us as people and shows, artists, I think it's our duty to explore what makes us weird and what makes us strange and broken and anything but ordinary. Imperfect, really. That's what we are. So, I want to create things that last. These books, these physical pieces of art that you could hold in your hand that look beautiful. The fonts, the colors, the way the words look on the page, the way the pages feel. I love all that. And that is where I want to spend my time. Right now, I'm living at my parents' house and taking a little breather, after a breakup. And I'm really living my dream life, albeit in my parents' basement. But I get up early. I write for 3 hours, from like 5 to 8. And I love writing in the morning before the world wakes up, when it feels like you're in this spiritual realm. And I watch the sun come up and the sky change as I'm writing. And it's just like my favorite time where I can really just focus before the day gets going. And I write, then I go work out, go to the gym, and then I may come back to the book, have lunch, and come back to the book in the afternoon for a second session, or maybe not. It's really just about that first 3-hour block. And in the afternoon, I might just, throw out some ideas, or just if I'm inspired by something, then work on it a little bit. But I want the afternoon to just be play. And this comes from Naval Ravikant, who's just this legend. This is pretty much how he spends his day. It's like work for a few hours in the morning and then do what you got to do. And then the afternoon is open. And I've been walking on the beach at sunset. I've been spending time with friends, just being outside and reading a lot. And this is how I want to live my life. This is what I want my life to be while making an income doing this. And that hopefully comes from getting paid to write books one day. So my plan is to move to New York in early spring. And I'm going to need a job there. Probably going to start trying to work at a coffee shop, and then just to get my boots on the ground. And then maybe try to infiltrate the writing, publishing world, or just another job that sounds interesting while working on my books. And I really don't know what that's going to look like. But I love New York. It's one of my favorite cities. I'm just so excited to get to go experience it at 30 years old with some of my best friends who live there right now. Because I realized living in Japan, living in Osaka and then Tokyo, and then just from my travel experiences, that I truly just, I love the big city life. Just walking, I could, in Tokyo and Osaka was even smaller. I could live in a 5x8 apartment, just like a tiniest little studio where I have my things. It's simple, a kitchenette, but then I could step outside into one of the greatest cities in the world, and that is my living room. That is what I really love. That's what I feel like I could do until, I'm actually making more. So the day comes when I want bigger space and stuff, but I'm quite happy in a small space in a big city. So that's probably what I'll be dealing with in New York, and I'm jazzed to the max about it. And so that's my plan for now. Don't know why I got on that, but we're just going to keep on rolling. So, yeah, just realizing that what I want is a simple life where I'm just pursuing the thing that I love. And, I've realized that is just writing these books. And that's what I want my life to be. So tying it back to just me and Greg putting a bow on the podcast for now. Like you don't have to do 20 things at once. That's something that I'm learning, something I'm really leaning into. It's kind of funny that I'm making a video about this, but like, I don't have to be a vlogger or a fucking podcaster or I don't know, doing 20 things. I don't even have to be a blogger. If I just want to put my head down, disappear, and write books, that's what I'm going to do. That's kind of what I want to do. I'm just so sick of like social media and having to keep up and just the endless loop. It's fucking exhausting. And yeah, I like doing this. I think I'm gonna kind of lean into making just these videos about writing more. And this is what I kind of wanted to talk about originally, is just like my new handle is writer Vincent Van Patten. That's what I love. I love writing books, and I've written 2 books. I know what I'm doing in a way. I'm still very much a student and at the beginning of this, but I got an idea of how this works. And that's all I want to do, is just create. I want to make art. And let me just say, when you do find the thing that lights you up inside, as much as writing books does for me, it won't matter if you make any money. It won't matter if people are reading your stuff or appreciating your art or what you do. You'll just be happy that you get to create and you get to do the thing that you love. And I think that's what so many people are looking for in life, but they just don't know that that's what they're missing, because we're told that there's countless other things that are supposed to make us happy. When, I'm not making money really from writing books yet, but I get up every day with a fire in my fucking belly because I'm just psyched to get back to it. And man, what a beautiful life that is. That's the life I want to live. Simple, artistic, creative, passionate, feeling it all, the highs and lows, and just rolling with it, expressing myself, living life the way I want to live it. And I really feel like that's the way things are going. I'm just really proud that that's the path I'm on, because I haven't stopped. I haven't settled. I haven't stopped searching. I haven't stopped following the feeling that burned inside of me of just sheer curiosity and the joy of creating. So hopefully that can inspire you if you're maybe back and forth, like, I want to do this, but I'm expected to do this, or this won't look good on paper. It's like, man, nothing could give you the same feeling as pursuing what you know in your bones you're meant to pursue. Because we got one life, and I won't regret spending it in a way that was inauthentic to who I truly am. You could tell when somebody's living their authentic life. It doesn't matter what the world says. You could just see it. They're living in a way that feels good and natural and genuine to them. And that's beautiful. That's the life of an artist. And that's the life I'm after. It's the life I'm living. And I couldn't be, more excited about it. And it doesn't mean it's easy. It takes time to figure out who you are and what you're meant to do and how to make a living from it. I'm still very much trying to figure all that out, but man, the journey is everything. I don't know where I'm headed, but I got this project in front of me that brings me so much joy, and I'm just going to keep working on it and see where it leads, see where all of it leads. Put fear aside, put my ego aside, put perfectionism aside, and just create the goddamn thing. Get it done, get it out, and keep working. It's a good life. You don't need to do everything. Focus on what matters to you. Whittle away the rest. And don't settle. It's beautiful once you find that thing. So that's where I'm at, leaning into simplifying and just doing what fills me up inside, and man, it feels good. And it's interesting, it's cool that if you are an artist and you're creating stuff, and maybe you're facing the fear of what people will think, or you don't know if you can get your stuff out there. It's like Rubin talks a lot about this in this book, and I'm going to put out another video once I finish it with just all my thoughts about the book and my favorite lessons. But he talks about art and the things we create just being like diary entries. They're snapshots of who we are at a certain point in time. They don't define us. They don't define our lives. But if we're afraid to put out the work because we think it has to be perfect, or we just want to keep it going, and then we're losing who we were at that specific time. And that's all the work has to be. Who we were at a certain point in our lives. And I think that's so cool. I look back at my first two books, and I'm almost afraid to read Arrows of Youth, my first book, because I'm like, I'm a different person. Changed a lot. I'm still definitely fundamentally me, but I was like 25 then. It was 5 years ago. Man, I've learned a lot, but it's almost like the writing that I'm just like, ooh, it's not, but that's who I was then. It's my first book, and it's so sweet that I have that thing. And the second one, it's this same deal. It's like, I'm going to get to look back at the end of my life, and if things keep going the way they're going, have a collection of chapters, each one a book, that just shows my growth as a human being and the things I did, where I was on my journey. And God, what a gift to give myself. It's so cool to me being able to capture certain times in my life, by making something physical that could hopefully help other people see themselves in a new way. And this Japan one, I feel like it's gonna be fucking sweet. I'm loving it. Just like writing about such a pivotal chapter in my journey as a human being was living in Japan and getting to share that and just share what the seasons meant to me and the experiences and the friendships. It's fiction, but it's all based on my actual experiences. So it's a lot of the things I actually did and a lot of the travels I took around Japan. It's all going to be in there. I'm putting 2.5 years worth of experience into a book that captures 2 years in the book. So, my first book, Eras of Youth, was like a 3-week trip. The second book was 3 months, a summer in Europe, and this third book is going to be a 2-year. So they're getting bigger and better, and hopefully the writing's getting better. I think it's beautiful, and I'm just excited to one day get it out. But the act of creating, the act of doing it every day makes me so happy. Man, it is pretty fucking cool. And yeah, our art is just snapshots of our life. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. And I definitely still have fears and roadblocks. I feel like I self-published my first 2 books on Amazon. Big hurdle is getting published with an actual publisher. And I go back and forth, like, how important is that really? But there's definitely a fear in me that it's just hard, I'll be a lot of extra work. There's a fear that they'll want to change a lot of it and it won't be the way that I want it. There's a fear that it won't be accepted and I won't be able to find a publisher. There's definitely fears, and that's the next step in my progression as a writer, is facing those fears and putting myself out there so I could really get this thing done, because this Japan book, I feel like it's going to be worth it. I want the world to see it, to see these experiences and just hopefully be inspired by what it's like being a teacher, English teacher in a foreign country. And I think it definitely has what it takes. So, I'm not by any means done growing or have it all figured out. There's still much, much to learn for me, and it's exciting, I'm excited by it. It's a new challenge. But I am proud with my ability to publish and face the fear of what people will think and just get my work out there. Steve Jobs would say, real artists ship. That was one of his famous quotes. To ship, it's to get the work out of you and into the world. Ship the work. It doesn't matter if you don't ship it. You got to get it out because people need what you have to say. They need your specific viewpoint. They need you. What you got to create. It doesn't matter if you don't ship the work. So I've taken that to heart over the years. Just fucking get it out. Who cares? It doesn't have to be perfect. It can't be. There'll always be more to edit and polish, but at a certain point, you just got to ship it. And then that makes space for the next thing. Yeah. So, to wrap it all up, podcast, what a beautiful journey that was. And you never know. Maybe one day me and Greg will decide to hop back on that wagon. But for now, the Dare to Dream podcast, we're putting her down. It feels good because we both get to focus on what truly makes us happy and what we truly want to pursue. So, simplify, focus on what's important, put your blinders up to what people think, what they define as success, and do what you feel you're meant to do. It might take a lot of time to figure out what that is, but I'm telling you, once you do, nothing else matters. Life just becomes really beautiful. All right, y'all. That's it for me. Much, much love. Happy holidays. Peace.